Welcome to the motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. I came across a rather lengthy back and forth between Claressa Shields and Shields-Cruz, who up until now have been palling around famously. They've been bosom buddies up until they signed the contracts to face each other in a rematch that no one was asking for, and thus I couldn't be bothered to read through everything they were saying to each other because to me, it all appeared rehearsed,
Fake.
contrived.
Fake.
You can always tell when two fighters really don't like each other. You could cut the tension with a knife. Marco Antonio Barrera and Eric Morales. More recent years, Michaela Mayer and Alicia Baumgartner. That when the two fighters don't like each other, it's sort of in the air and in their aura. They don't have to force it the way that Claressa and Franchon, at least to me, feel like they're forcing it. Maybe it's because nobody was asking for this rematch, and this rematch has no buzz, no sizzle. I heard it from at least one person on the other side of the industry, someone who's really clued in that DAZN hates this fight. Remember that anything happening on the DAZN platform is coming out of DAZN's pocket. It's something that they're paying for, whether it's a budget that they're giving Matchroom or a budget that they're giving Golden Boy, Dream Boxing, or in this instance, Salida Promotions. They're paying for this, but they're actually not happy with it.
They hate this fight.
And it's because the fight ain't got no buzz. This is intended to kick off Claressa Shields' big $8 million deal, I believe it was. $2 million a fight, 2 fights a year, spread across 2 years for a grand total of $8 million. If Win Records and Salida are the ones kicking out Claressa Shields' minimum, why would DAZN be so disgruntled? Because her fucking deal is fake. It's all about manufacturing a minimum for Claressa so that moving forward, if anybody wants to use her, she can ask them to match her minimum. $2 million. But do you actually think she's gonna make $2 million for the Franchon-Cruz fight that literally has no buzz? There's no chatter around this fight. The whole bit about signing to Win Records, which is really just signing to Dimitri Salida all over again, was in the event that MVP wants to use you, and they want you to fight one of their fighters. You can then ask them to match your minimum, $2 million. Except MVP might tell you, well, you're the A-side, you send the offer. At which point this bargaining tactic would backfire, making this grand announcement about what you're going to be making moving forward. Oh, so you got all that money now? Kick some of it out. You make the offer, since you're the A-side. Otherwise, you can stay up there at heavyweight, fighting in fights that nobody's checking for and nobody cares about. I actually like Franchon-Cruz as a fighter and as a person, but I can't pretend that there is any buzz at all around a rematch between her and Claressa. The big women's boxing boom of circa 2016 seems to have slowed a bit. Fights like this are a part of the reason. You're just putting together fights for the sake of putting together fights with no regard for whether or not the audience wants them. And I feel like because Claressa and Franchon are friends, they put their heads together and came up with this. That if Claressa's bargaining tactic with MVP doesn't work, she always has that Franchon-Cruz rematch in her back pocket, except nobody wants it. Franchon feels so inclined to go along with it because nobody's beaten down her door for fights. Anyway, this would be an opportunity for her to get out there and have a fight and at the same time do a solid for her old buddy, Claressa. They don't really got beef with each other. When they go back and forth on social media, that's just their veiled effort to sell you their fight. And Claressa's veiled effort to try to gain leverage over Jadeja Green, who is promoted by MVP. Don't forget that Franchon-Cruz beat Jadeja, so Claressa tells herself, if I beat Franchon, that gives me leverage over Jadeja before we even fight.
Didn't she already beat Franchon?
She did, but it was so long ago it may as well not have happened. That was in their pro debut back in 2016.
Ancient history.
So this is Claressa's way of trying to jog people's memory. Most of the news and most of the attention she's been getting ain't got nothing to do with this fight. Got much to do with boxing either, so much as her relationship with Papoose and his ongoing beef with 50 Cent. She's honestly getting more coverage for that. And the hope has got to be that at least some of that attention and some of those people you can siphon to watch your fight.
It's a long shot.
It's out there because a lot of those people aren't actually boxing fans so much as love and hip-hop heads, that kind of crowd.
And a lot of what they're paying attention to is how you're getting roasted, not necessarily your fighting or your ability to fight, so...
So, you
No.
But that's what the hope has got to be, because organically, this fight has no buzz. Nobody in boxing was asking for it. Nobody in boxing is checking for it.
I'm a big supporter of women's boxing, bigger than most. I have been for years, but I gotta be honest that I'm not remotely interested in this rematch. It seems like a formality.
It's pretty fucking pointless to me, but that's what Clarissa's up to. That's what she's doing. You can have your back and forth with Franchon on social media. Do it in front of everybody. They still don't seem interested.
Elsewhere in the world of boxing, Zuffa Boxing opens in a small-scale space.
It would seem that the big-time promotional outfit that has a lot of money behind it and a lot of effort is off to a rather rocky start.
For all of the waves and conversations it's created, the January 23rd launch of Zuffa Boxing's new promotional lineup of fighters starting a union with Paramount Plus will occur at the UFC Apex, a Nevada fight official confirmed to Boxing Scene on Tuesday. The Apex is an intimate venue inside UFC's Las Vegas headquarters. It regularly hosted COVID-era UFC fights and has since become the home of many UFC Fight Night events and pre-fight weigh-ins. It's yet to be seen what kind of crowd will be permitted to attend this event, if they can even draw one.
So what's this, Zuffa's version of Fantasy Springs? The Caribe Royale?
Rival promoters Eddie Hearn and Oscar De La Hoya have ridiculed Zuffa leadership over taking a minimalistic effort to the first card with fighters that have yet to be formally announced. Candidates include ranked junior middleweight Callum Walsh, former 140-pound champion Jose Rayo Valenzuela, and rising prospect Justin Valoria. Zuffa, headed by UFC CEO, President Dana White, and TKO executive Nick Khan, have launched a lobbying push seeking for Congress to alter existing federal regulations aimed to curb promoter manipulation of fighters, including disclosures revealing what given events generate financially. Zuffa also seeks to rank its own fighters and award its own title belts in at least 8 weight classes, with White saying he does not intend to work with the 4 sanctioning bodies, the WBC, WBO, WBA, and IBF, or rival promoters. The Zuffa card falls on a Friday as part of a weekend that features the January 24th IBF lightweight title defense by current champion Raymond Muratalla on DAZN versus the Hearn-promoted challenger Andy Cruz, a 2021 Olympic gold medalist from Cuba.
So it's all happening on the same weekend, just not the same day, and it's smart of Dana White and Zuffa not to try to go head-to-head with either Matchroom or anything else that's happening that same weekend. You don't yet have the audience's trust to go head-to-head with anybody in this sport. Hearn and De La Hoya have vigorously defended boxing's free market system and the value of fighters pursuing world title belts.
The free market system that's caused all the networks to walk away from boxing, giving fighters and their managers too much wiggle room to waste everybody's time and money, including the network. That free market system?
Eddie Hearn recently told Ariel Helwani that Zuffa was missing an opportunity by debuting with such a watered-down opening event. You've got to come out of the blocks with a bang. You can't come out with something lame, Hearn said. What are you gonna do? Do a show in the Apex to launch TKO Boxing? It's gotta be a monster. And with 3 weeks to go, no less than that, how much of a monster can it be? I want to be up against them. Whether we are product-wise, we will see very soon. But they're very good. They're very smart. They're very connected, but if they come out weak January 23rd,
And they might.
they are going to get criticized because everybody's waiting to give them an absolute shellacking. In connection to what seems to be Zuffa Boxing's rocky start, some of the names that were initially tabbed to be part of their starting roster have since dropped off. Vito Milnicki, originally thought to be signing to Zuffa, has since signed to Samson Lukowicz, so he's not going to be in that bubble. Neither is Brandon Adams, who's just agreed to take on Aguiarco in a regular boxing match, not a Zuffa fight.
Oh no.
Now, I hardly think that 2 guys like Vito Milnicki and Brandon Adams are a big part of Zuffa's bottom line. Those are just bodies they look to fill slots with, and that's where they're different from the other game in town.
Their approach is different because they don't have it all riding on one or some fighters, not dissimilar from what you see at the UFC. You could argue that there are no big-time stars over there right now.
Long gone are the days of Conor McGregor McGregor and Ronda Rousey. I think in their heyday, that's when the UFC peaked. They haven't really had any big-time stars quite like them since then, though oddly enough, the company is still valued at what? $23 billion?
So they're still doing well, they're still making money, and they're still in the black. They hope to bring that strategy to boxing in the form of Zuffa. Thus, losing Vito Milnicki and losing Brendan Adams isn't crippling in the least bit.
That's not really what has my attention so much as the lack of promotion just a few weeks out from what is supposed to be their launch. If they're going to try to make a splash in this industry, in this sport, they need to do better than that. I haven't seen enough promos.
Outside of the occasional boxing scene article talking about them, how much promotion has Zuffa actually gotten for all of the money there is behind them and all of the chatter? So many content creators that were forecasting doomsday scenarios in a boxing apocalypse that they're going to run everybody out of town. What did I tell you?
Those guys are just exaggerating for the purposes of getting you to watch their video with all of their doomsday scenarios, when reality is more mundane and more measured.
They're going to take over boxing with Justin Valoria and Rayo?
And Callum Walsh? I don't think so, but they can put together some decent-looking fights. They can do that. They can gradually build, over time, to become a trusted brand that puts together aesthetically pleasing fights at an affordable price, more affordable than what you're seeing on DAZN right now. That they can do. They can have success with that. Even if they are off to a rocky start, the old saying goes, well, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
This is just the beginning.
In this day and age, the way news is delivered, there's no in-between. Everybody lives in extremes, when oftentimes the reality of things is often more mundane. With this sort of Friday Night Fights sort of format, they can still draw eyes to them, as Paramount Plus is a very big platform all on its own.
Approximately 79 million subscribers as of 2025.
Doing things in this fashion, this way, they won't have to compete with Matchroom, with Golden Boy, with Queensberry, Top Rank if and when they come back.
Baby steps.
You have to crawl before you walk and walk before you run. They are just getting started. Eddie Hearn is expecting these guys to come out with a fire-breathing dragon shooting lasers out of his ass.
There's been so much chatter around this thing, you're expecting them to come out and make a huge splash.
I myself would not underestimate the top brass at Zuffa and what they have planned, but I wouldn't overestimate what they can do either. Boxing is a generally unstable industry, to where even the best laid plans can fall by the wayside. Men's heavyweight news, Tyson Fury confirms 2026 return. Been away for a while. I'm back now. Former two-time world heavyweight champion Tyson Fury is confirmed, one of the sport's worst-kept secrets. He'll be back in action again later this year, having repeatedly teased as much on social media during the run-up to 2026. Fury was last in action 13 months ago when he lost an immediate rematch with Alexander Usyk for the ring and unified world titles in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. 7 months earlier, they faced off in a nail-biting 12-round affair, but the Brit was soundly beaten, leading many to believe he had physically declined and lost the fire that fueled him.
I never elected for that bullshit explanation, because it's not that he lost the fire that fueled him. He never had any fire for fighting Alexander Usyk. Long before Usyk actually beats Anthony Joshua, when he was asked about fighting him, you could tell then and there, he never fancied that fight, he never liked it.
Fury held off on having that fight for a long time, for as long as he could, long enough that Turkey made him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Confirmed to me what I already knew, that Usyk would beat him, so that when he does, don't tell me that it's because Fury's declined and he lost his fire.
Queensberry chief Frank Warren has always reiterated a willingness to see Fury return, provided he was still willing and able to do so, and doubled down in early October. The Queensberry-backed star has posted a compilation video featuring him hitting pads, a heavy bag, doing an arms circuit, alongside longtime cruiserweight contender turned heavyweight Kevin Lerena, and more, with an accompanying caption that reads, 2026 is that year, return of the Mac, Been away for a while, but I'm back. Now 37 years old and still punching. Nothing better to do than punch men in the face and get paid for it. Having been criticized for looking more overweight than usual, given his 6'9" frame, he spoke about sharpening edges in another workout video posted on Instagram this week. He's also declared he spent his new year grinding as the motivational messages filtered through, anticipating fight news or a concrete update in the coming weeks. Don't expect it to be anybody difficult or anybody dangerous for Fury's comeback fight. He hasn't fought in 13 months and he's coming off of 2 consecutive losses, so it's gonna be a layup.
Is boxing better off now that Fury's back? As much as we don't like the guy, does he have a role to play in today's boxing landscape?
I suppose the answer to that question all depends on who you ask, because if you ask 3-weight world champion Duke McKenzie, he's not at all happy to hear that Tyson Fury's back. He had some choice words for the 2-time heavyweight champion.
He said people are fed up with Tyson Fury. We're all fed up of it. Everybody's bored and tired of listening to Tyson Fury. And while he's not completely wrong, it's not completely right either, Tyson Fury still has supporters out there. There are still people out there that like him and would like to see him fight.
Some intriguing matchups that Queensberry Promotions could make all in-house that might be to the British boxing fans' liking, to where Tyson Fury still has a place in today's heavyweight landscape. Even if he irritates some of us, a torch needs to get passed. Moses Itelma is widely regarded as the heir apparent to the heavyweight division, but he's not yet a marquee attraction. He's not yet a big draw. So until such a time as he becomes one, Tyson Fury can help to fill the void. We're in a sort of transitional period right now, where you can't quite put your finger on who's the face of boxing.
Not saying it's Tyson Fury, because it isn't.
Though boxing fans, being generally big on familiarity and names that they know, names that they trust, the name of Tyson Fury in today's landscape is still worth something. Terence Crawford, he just retired. I don't think Canelo Alvarez is that far behind him. I don't think that Usyk is either.
These were the biggest and best names and the best fighters in the previous era that is now coming to an end. Tyson Fury is a remnant of that era, to where if he wants to hang around a while longer, I'd be lying to you if I told you that he can't sell some tickets or he can't sell some pay-per-views. I'd be lying to you if I told you that he can't still wind people up the way that he usually winds people up, and some people are into it. Some people like it.
Even if Duke McKenzie doesn't.
There is still use for Tyson Fury.